With the Los Angeles Times, I'm Lindsey Thiry in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues, Bill Dwyre and Chris Foster. UCLA defeating Kansas State 40-35 in the Alamo Bowl. Chris, a 10-win season for the Bruins, their second consecutive. What do you think of it?
Well, it's an accomplishment to win 10 games, but that tonight was UCLA's entire season rolled into 60 minutes. They were brilliant at times, and they were not so brilliant at times. And it was just what they were all year. They were young and at times inconsistent, and that was all on display tonight. But they found a way to win. Bill,
that was kind of poetic from Chris. What do you think?
He's a poet laureate of the LA Times sports staff. Yeah, I think it was exhausting. I'm exhausted just watching and writing about it. It was a strange game. I mean, we had the streakers, the clothes streakers on the field, my favorite. And we had a fist fight almost breaking out at every turn. We had an angry coach, Jim Mora, who was the winning coach at the end of the game. So we had so much to write about that I'm not sure that either one of us were able to capture it in total.
So much to write about, so little space. Okay, so the Bruins jumped out to a 17-point lead before Kansas State kind of clawed its way back. As Bill mentioned, there was a clothes streaker on the field.
They were Kansas streakers. They took off their parkas and left everything else on.
They left everything else on, that's right. And then after the game, there was the handshake situation, and I know that Jim Mora was asked about it in the press conference. He didn't really say much, but Chris, what did you find out about what happened after the game?
Well, it seems like there was a lot of consternation, shall we say, on the UCLA's part. Jim Mora fired off a Twitter fairly soon after the game that he's always
2015 tweeting.
There you go. And he was going to always protect UCLA players, and UCLA players follow up with tweets saying, "Thank you, Coach Mora." And it seemed like, from what Dion Hollins, UCLA's linebacker, told me, it seemed like the game was chippy throughout. He was saying Kansas State offensive linemen were getting a little unhappy with the fact the Bruins were so close to their quarterback all night long, which is what they're paid to do. Well, not paid to do. It's why they go to scholarships to do. The final play of the game was when Brett Hundley took a knee, and a Kansas State player launched himself over the line at him, and UCLA's Eddie Vanderdoes met him in the air. And right after that, there was the handshake, and it was a very brief handshake between Kansas State coach Bill Snyder and Jim Mora. Snyder looked very perplexed about what the heck was going on, and then Jim showed up at the press conference a little chippy.
A little fired up, maybe to say the least. Bill, does an event like that at the end of the game take away from what the Bruins accomplished during the game?
Well, the one question I had was, where was all that testosterone against Stanford? I don't understand. They kind of
went. That's the question of the year, Bill.
Well, I guess it is. They went away meekly there, but does it take away from the game? A little bit, yeah. I guess I'm an old-fashioned purist. I'd like to see them play football, not ultimate fighting.
All right. Quarterback Brett Hundley will be gone. This was his final game as a Bruin. The Bruins lose a couple of other seniors. Chris, where do they go from here?
Well, they're actually in very good shape if they can find a quarterback, and they got some candidates: Jerry Neuheisel, Josh Rosen, Ashanti Willard. But what they had tonight that Bruin fans might want to note is Paul Perkins. Paul went for 194 yards tonight. He clinched the game with a 67-yard touchdown run. He really looked sharp. He finished the year with the second most yards of any UCLA running back in a season. He's going to be a guy next year they're going to lean on more, and it's going to be a guy that whoever the quarterback is, that Perkins is going to have to produce plays to take the pressure off him. And so Bruin fans should be encouraged by watching Paul Perkins tonight.
Bill, this was a preseason team who was thought to maybe make a run to the college football playoff. They fell short of that, but how do you sum up this season, and do you think they accomplished enough?
You know, Lindsey, what I think is that next year is going to be great in LA. SC is going to be good. UCLA is going to be really good. The only thing UCLA is lacking right now is, instead of another assistant coach, maybe a psychiatrist. And if they get that settled, we could have a heck of a year.
Chris, I was going to give you the final word on the season, but I think Bill might have just taken it.
Yes, well, I can't say anything else except to say my poetry books are available in the lobby after every game.
Or you can just have the final word on Twitter, just like UCLA coach Jim Mora. All right, that's going to do it for us from the Alamo Dome. UCLA defeating Kansas State 40-35 in the Alamo Bowl. With Bill Dwyre and Chris Foster, I'm Lindsey Thiry for the Los Angeles Times.